Alright everybody, welcome back to the Blood Bear channel. Today, in this video, we'll be reviewing the third book of the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. I have it right here in my hands. Yeah, it's nice. This one was the longest one so far. Any Uzis. Yeah, so I just finished it last week-ish, but I didn't upload a video of it because I did how I, am going to be doing said book reviews from now on. I've figured out what the final category is going to be, which was structure and that stuff. So yeah, and before we get started, I do want to say the ending of this one, of Ruin here, it got me quite both sad and upset, like mad, but that's a good thing because that's kind of what it was supposed to do. Alright, well, I guess we should probably go ahead and get into this. There will be spoilers. Okay, like in all of book reviews, there's going to be spoilers. And yeah, so we'll get into the first category. Oh wait, I guess I should. No, I already explained that. Go, if you don't know how I do things, go check out that other video. So yeah, we'll just jump straight into the first category then. The first category being structure. So for structure, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I really thought the structure worked pretty well. I mean, it's not like the Stormlight Archive books where they're separated into different parts. It was all just one continuous thing, but it followed along the timeline of a year, which I think every one of them do. And what was nice is, if you've ever read at least the copy of Elantris that I have, a chapter will end and also begin on the same page, which is kind of weird in my opinion. Ruin does not do that. A chapter ends and then a chapter begins on a new page, not on the same page, which is good. And then it also had something that I liked, was how do I say this? Characters will, chapters in the book will kind of follow, will be bunched together of characters that are in the same area. So whenever Adana and them all arrive at Dunkryn in the marshes, it'll usually be a Camlin chapter followed by a Evanis chapter, then another Camlin, then a Wraith, and so on and so forth until something eventful will eventually happen, and then we'll cut over to a different group like Corbin and all of them. And that'll be Corbin, Cywin, it would be Too Cool, and Corlin. I think it's Corlin, not Coraline. But yeah, structure gets a 9 out of 10. And now, I guess we'll go to the second category of emotional impact. Now, this book had a lot of good stuff happen in it, so emotional impact also gets a 9 out of 10. This is mainly for probably for whenever Gwynne gets captured by Lycos Kid, you just go like, oh, come on, man. He hasn't been through enough already, right? He wasn't enslaved, forced to fight in gladiator pits, then had to watch the kid he basically kind of raised get betrayed and murdered in front of him. So he already feels like a failure. And like it was right after he started his kind of relationship with Fidel. So it was like, man, geez, he finally got something else to live for other than revenge, and now he's Lycos's pet again, basically. And then we had the ending of the book, which was also not. It's very upsetting and sad because Corbin gets kidnapped by I think they're the Jotun giants. Because, yeah, well, now I don't know if they are the Jotun giants or if they're bringing him to somewhere else, or like there's some other giant tribe out there. And the reason I say that is because he was getting hunted down by the Jotun giants, because they were helping out Jael. I'm just gonna call him Jael. Riahel or whatever. I don't know. Sometimes the J is silent and sometimes it's not. So, whatever. Yeah. So the Jotun were helping out. It's probably the silent because it's like Norse. Because you have the Jotun, right? And Jotunheim is on the map, so it is probably Yahel or whatever. But yeah, so the leader of the Jotun giants was helping Jael because they wanted to capture Halion so that there could be no rival to the throne of Isiltir. So then they were hunting Corbin because Corbin had to go leave. I'll get into this stuff probably in the world building section of why he left, why Corbin had left to go out into the woods of Foreign Forest. But yeah. Anyways, he gets kidnapped. He actually escapes the bears and giants chasing him by jumping into the river. But that's only after Storm gets stabbed with a spear and is dying. So then they jump into the river, and then he is still. So they're both almost dead. And then Corbin is taken away from Storm because he washes up onto the bay of the river or whatever, and straight into the grasp of giants. So he gets kidnapped. Storm's left to just die, and you're like, what the frick is going on? Why is this happening? It's like, what the hell? What was that? Why are you killing off the dog that we've been loving since book 1? Now, I personally don't think that Storm is going to die. At least not yet. Because it did not say that she died. It just said that the howling stopped, which could be for a number of reasons. Because I think that Veritas and Alcyon are going to find Storm and patch her up and then lead the survivors of Corbin's warband to Corbin. Anyways, made me quite upset that Storm might be dead. And then we get to some of the good stuff that happened. Veritas is finally learned the truth, and he finally learned what we all knew all along, that Nether is Azeroth's champion, and that Nether killed his own father, which is literally the only logical conclusion of that, because what the hell else would that be? Because Mandros is what I think his name was described to be out of shape, and he overpowered not only King Aquilus, who was not described as out of shape, and Nether, who is in fighting like age, that doesn't make any sense. Even if Mantros took them by surprise, which still doesn't make any sense. Also, Veritas was waiting outside, so why would you do that? It just doesn't make any sense. And Veritas is dumb. I feel like that is just part of his character now. But yeah, he had lots of character growth in this book because, yeah, he learned that, and then he went to go fight Calidus, freed Alcyone from his hold on him, and then he also set Fidel, Macwin, Alcyon's family, and some other people free, because they were imprisoned after the trial of Lycos' crimes. But Lycos is too valuable, so they can't kill him. So they just chalked it up as like, oh, mother, you're so grief-stricken over the death of your husband. I never should have given you that power in the first place. And at the beginning of this book, Nether is very hesitant to be Azeroth's champion, and then by the end he's fully into the role. He's flipping out and stuff. It is crazy. So yeah, there were other really awesome moments and stuff in there too. But if I wanted to list them all, this might be a 2-hour-long video, and we do not want that. Alright, so yeah, 9 out of 10 for emotional impact. So that's 2 9s. I will probably never really be giving anything a 10 out of 10, just because there's nothing that's perfect out there. Right, except for the Bible, of course. But, it's hard to compete with that, so... Alright, we'll get into the third category now. The third category that I put was plot. And again, honestly, deserves another 9, because this is genuinely the most, just... I enjoyed it more than any of the other ones. Because you got the relationship with Macwin and Fidel that forms, then you got the everything that happens with Veritas, great character development there, and with Alcyone and stuff, and then you have Nether becoming actually becoming a villain, not believing he's the good guy necessarily. Well, he still believes he's the good guy, but because Calidus is well, it's the victor that writes the history, and it's yeah, but Azeroth destroyed everything, Elion created everything. One's good at creating stuff, one's good at destroying stuff. One's angry and one's gone, so... one's gone because he's so sad that everything got destroyed by Azeroth, so or that he had to destroy everything just to save as little as he, just to save what's left of, where the Banished Lands are. So, yeah, and he's out there grieving, maybe. I don't know, we haven't met him yet, so we don't know how Elion is. But he's supposed to be the good god, obviously, because, that's what their religiousness says. And then, and then you had Corbin's battle against Sumar. Awesome. Literally awesome. You have literally Halion is just Corbin is the greatest hero in all the Banished Lands, and whoever says otherwise, I will punch them in the face. That's literally what he says, and it's so fun. And it was awesome duel, pretty much. And then the fight after, kind of mid. Just kidding. It was also really cool. And then, yeah, you had Storm and Budeye had babies together. Interesting. And then I'm trying to think of what other stuff. Yeah, Camlin. He finally killed Braith, because Braith didn't die in the last one. So there's that. And we are starting to see more of the treasures become, the Starstone treasures actually become prevalent. because we had Rafe with the goblet that he drank from and might have died from ecstasy. Then I think Vaughn has the torque, or it was in the book, so Brenna might have it. I'm not exactly sure, but Vaughn knows where it is. And then, there's other things as well I'm trying to think of. Again, literally nobody on the bad guy's side died. Like, what the hell? I don't understand how. Okay, so towards the end, you had the bad, like, they all arrived. Corbin's group all arrived at Drassel. Then they had a fight with. Corbin actually stepped into the role of being, the Bright Star, being this hero of the prophecy, and leading all these people. And then he had the fight with Jahel's army, and then won that. And then later, Michael felt guilty. Corbin followed Michael. He was meeting with all the Benellim, and they were very impatient. And then Michael eventually told Corbin that the prophecy was all fake, that he made it up. So then Corbin's like, what the hell? My whole life is a lie. I'm not some champion chosen by God, and how am I supposed to now lead these people? Like, they're so believing towards this idea, and it's all a lie. So then he goes out to go walk, and then Nether is led to the secret tunnels by Trig, which I don't understand why she did that, because, Wolf thinks that she's a traitor, but you would think Hallion would have set him straight on that, which I'm not sure if he did or not. But she's basically led Nether and Calidus to the tunnel that led straight to Drassel. So then they had a massive fight. Corbin wasn't there. Storm wasn't there. So then all the people, they were all fighting. They lost. Eventually had to flee. Balor One-Eye died. And it is not looking good for our main characters, because Nether and Calidus have the cauldron, they have the spear, and they have the axe. So more Kadoshim, I guess. Yeah, not looking good at all. Also, the whole thing with Michael telling him that was fake is basically also saying that, yeah, we lured you here as bait. So, but yeah, 9 out of 10 for plot. Fourth category, number 4, is world building. And in my opinion, it had the kind of... It had quite a bit, actually, because we learned more about the Jotun giants and stuff. So I gave it this an 8 out of 10, because I feel like we haven't really gotten into, like we're 3 books in, and we still haven't really gotten into much like the mystical aspect of this world, really. At least that's how I feel, anyways. Or at least we're no closer to understanding how it works or what's going on. Which he might not explain how it works, which is fine, because then it makes it a soft magic system. But so yeah, we learned about the Jotun because we got to see them in action. They're giants that ride bears, and they're on the wrong side of history because they're fighting against the good guys. Because the other party is working with Azeroth, so they are not good. Okay, we've seen Azeroth; he does not look like he is a good guy. So there's that. And then we also learned from Michael, I think, of some other people that are like, I think they're similar to like the Dothraki from Game of Thrones. So they're like horse riders in the plains of Arcana area on the map, which we've never been to. So I think we'll probably be going there in the final book, or at least some characters will be. So yeah, that'll be fun. Because also, with how it ended, I do not see how Corbin and his allies are really going to win this. Their army is currently fleeing. They are far less. They number far less than Nether's army, and yeah, it's not looking good. So unless they figure out a way to get the Ben Elam here and recruit the horse people and other maybe giants, maybe, they're not looking too hot. They're looking like they might all die. Also, at the end of the book, Cywin got freaking captured again, so that's great. Varys will probably have to rescue her, which I'm fine with, because, they're gonna totally get together. Yep. So, yeah. And then, I will say, my favorite part is Corbin's dreams, which I hope play a bigger role in the final book. My theory right now is that because the other world is originally described as like black and white, so it's just like grays, blacks, and whites, right? So that's how it was described, but then slowly in these dreams throughout the book, we see that Corbin is actually starting to see the other world in vibrant color, which in my mind I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I'm like, why is he like the only one that can kind of see color in this world? He probably isn't. I imagine that the Cataclysm and Ben Elam see color in that world, in the other world as well. But there was one other instance where a person, like a human, saw color, and that was whenever we saw Lycos. Like, I think it was like the first Lycos chapter, where he was like standing before the Bridge of Swords, which is like kind of like where people go after they die, and then Calidus showed up and gave Lycos an apple, and Lycos took the said apple and saw it in color and then bit it. But that's the only other instance of that happening. But Corbin sees the entire other world in vibrant colors now. So I want to think, my theory is that is Elyon kind of giving Corbin some sort of power in the other world or something. Or something to that effect. I hope we get to see Corbin meet Elyon in this next book, and then, because like Corbin's gonna have to be like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like, either he's gonna have to be like, okay, I'm still responsible because these people because they made me their king, or he's gonna have to be like meet Elyon in the other world, and Elyon be like, yeah, I actually gave Michael that idea, that prophecy, basically. So he may think that he made it up, but I was the one that actually gave it to him in his mind. Because there are some things in that prophecy that just don't really make any sense. Because it said that they stand by Storm and Shield, right? How the hell would Michael know that Corbin would name his direwolf Storm and his horse Shield? Like, that doesn't make any sense that Michael would know that. So I'm thinking it might be Elyon that actually made the prophecy and put it into Michael's head. Maybe. That's my theory anyways. So yeah. Off to a good start. So 8 out of 10 for world building. Alright. And then now the fifth and final category is the characters. I also gave the characters a 9 out of 10, but I was thinking of lowering it to an 8. I'm not going to. I'm going to stay with 9 out of 10. The 8 is mainly because of Ulfilas. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. It's Ulf. ILSAS. So, cause like, whatever, it's fine. Yeah. So first off, we have Corbin. You know, his main arc was coming into that leadership role of being, you know, the bright star, and then you just kind of toss that whole thing out the window whenever Michael reveals the truth. And then he gets captured and Storm's like dead. So, you know, there's that. But it's the main part of Corbin's story in this book. Very good. Very well done. And then there's a lot of characters in this book. So, yeah. I'm mainly only going to talk about the readable perspective characters and what they've been doing. We've actually just had our second readable perspective character die in a book. And I'll get to that whenever I get to that. So, and then we have Gwynne. His whole thing is mainly centered around kind of regaining his like humanity, I guess. Even though I don't think he ever really lost that. Through like his relationship with Fidel and his protection of her. And then you have him getting recaptured by Lycos and tortured for I don't know how long. But he never breaks, and that's awesome. Because like the whole time Lycos is torturing him, trying to make him scream so that people knows like, oh yeah, he's just human. The old wolf is just human. But he never screams, and then eventually he like literally leans forward, and I think he like bites a chunk off of Lycos' face, and then he screams out in horror and is terrified. So that probably made him lose some credit amongst the rest of the Ventalen. And it was pretty freaking cool. Gwynne is a badass, and we love him for it. And then yeah, Fidel. Again, that's also mainly her kind of like trauma bonding with Gwynne, and then also learning about her son being the champion of Azeroth through Calidus, and basically she has to deal with nobody believes her because she is mad with grief, in quotation marks. So she has to deal with that. Basically, Lycos gets off scot-free, and then they're all arrested as rebellious prisoners, which is freaking dumb. Okay, Veritas, I think, might have had the post-growth, even though he's not really seen as much in this book as he is in some of the other ones. Mainly the first one. He's seen a lot in the first one. But, yeah, so he, after learning about, the truth, he stands up to Calidus, because he's like, he thinks Calidus is influencing the whole thing. But then he also kind of switches sides after, like, he knew that he made a pact, he knew Nether made a pact with Azeroth, but then he asks Calidus, did Nether kill his dad? And Calidus, being, evil, just goes, yeah, of course he did. Like, how could you think he didn't? And then that, I think, kind of makes Varys go, okay, I'm on the wrong side. And he basically attacks Calidus, tosses him into the fire that he's going in that room. But then, Alcyon then grabs him, and he's like about to break his arm, basically. But then he notices the trunk filled with these like little clay dolls. And then it clicks in his head, because Fidel told him Lycos was controlling me through this little clay doll with a strand of my hair in it. And then Gwynne destroyed it, and I was freed. So then he kicks the chest filled with those dolls into the fire, destroys all of them, and then him and Alcyon bust out the window and jump into a river where hopefully they will find Storm and treat her. Maybe. That's what I hope happens, because I don't want Storm to die, because that would be so sad. Okay, next character, Cywin. Cywin is interesting. It's funny because like she's straight back, like she's free for about a year, and then she's straight back to where she started a year ago. So, because she just got freed from being a prisoner, and then she goes with Corbin for like a year, learns some new stuff, and then is a prisoner again at the end of the book. So, and what's also really funny is that they kill Michael. Calidus kills Michael, who's also the only person, because from what I understand is that it's just Cywin and Michael that were captured, and Michael was the only one that actually knew where Corbin was. Cywin does not. She knew that everybody was fleeing through the northern tunnel. She has no idea that Corbin went down that northern tunnel earlier, so she has no idea where Corbin is, and Calidus that's his biggest, desire. He wants to know, where is the Bright Star? We need to kill him. So yeah, killed the one guy who knew where it is, but also Michael probably would not have broken, so it didn't really matter. And then a lot before that happens, a lot of her main character things is her kind of struggle with, she feels useless. She doesn't really get to talk to her brother because he's so busy now leading everybody, and then eventually she becomes Brenna's new apprentice. She learns the earth power and stuff like that, and she finds her place within the war camp, so good for her. Alright, and then we have Corlin. Corlin, I don't feel like she has much to really in this book. The biggest thing is that she kisses Corbin, and then for like a week, because Corbin doesn't know what to do. He's like, what the hell is that about? And he's too nervous to go and talk to her about it, so they kind of like avoid each other, and then she gets pissed because he's avoiding her basically. He's like, why hasn't he come to talk to me yet? So that's basically the biggest thing that happens with her. She also is like befriend. She's a scout most of the time, and she has her role in that. And then also another thing was her warning the civilians of a town that they were just going to ride through here. They didn't want to kill them or fight them or take any of their stuff. They were just going to pass through, and stuff like that. And then they did, and then the Calcium arrived and started eating them, so then they, recruited some more people. And then, yeah, she also becomes pretty good friends with Ankara and Tukul as well. And then let's go ahead and talk about Tukul now. Okay, Tukul, great guy, also badass, leader of the AR. He dies in this book. He fights two bears, kills one of the bears outside, and the giant. No, Coraline kills the giant that was riding said bear, but he kills the bear. Then he goes into Graham's hold, finds Wolf and Graham freaking stabbed into these pillars, and Graham's pretty much dead. It's pretty obvious. Bear eating his intestines. He's dead. But then Gar goes and he defends Wolf and Graham's body, fights like two bears with giant riders, while giants are riding those bears, and he does pretty damn well. I think he might kill. I think he killed another bear, but then eventually he gets hit by one of the bear claws, he gets sent flying, and he dies. And it is very sad, especially because we see Gar later reacting to Tuchel's death, and it is very sad. Yeah, and then because Gar really isn't himself until they get to Drassel, and then he gets nominated by like Corbin and one of the other guys. One of the guys that was guarding, I don't remember his name, but he was guarding. He was like one of like the 10 that were left behind to guard Drassel, and they nominate him to be the new leader of the AR. And then then Gar fights Gar. Gar wins because they're like evenly matched with the normal standard AR training. And Akar's like, you've gotten weak, the outside world has softened you, and then Garb headbutts him in the face, and he's like, shut up. It's like, it hasn't made me weak, it's expanded my view, because because now the Kaoshim all have access to the AR training, basically, so they can all move and fight like the AR, so you have to change, basically, how you kind of fight if you want to win. Alright. Next character, Camlin. Camlin is the loyal servant of Adana, but now that they're in Dun-Kryn with Pendrathran and other, warriors, he's got to reestablish him being actually, like, trustworthy. And he does so by leading a raid to get Morkant's chest filled with silver. Does that, succeeds in that, with little casualties. He also adopts a little kid called Meg. Kind of. Anyways. And then he kills Braith, because Braith was chasing him. He gets captured by Braith, but he kind of set up a plan for that. So then Meg was following them the whole time. She tossed him a knife, he cut through his ropes and binds, then killed Braith. Vaughn let Rafe escape, because of course, he always does. Vaughn let his dad escape the first time Camlin was going to shoot him. Then he let Rafe escape when Camlin was going to shoot him. Vaughn's not letting Camlin shoot nobody. That sucks. Okay, and then there's the big old fight between Evnis and the rebels of the rebels. They're the right, Adana's the rightful heir, right? So they're fighting. Evnis basically goes battle. They big old like oil grease fire type of thing around their boats. So then they're cut off. Evnis is cut off, and then they start fighting, and it was. Evnis gets off scot-free. Camlin goes, sees the duel, because lo and behold, Royson, who is constantly described as the worst and like a snake, betrays Adana and is like, well, if you're not around, then Pendrathran will be my man, basically. Not loyal to you, but to me. And, then, she sends 2 guys after him. One of the guys kills the other guy. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to just kill this person that's been so good to us, and stuff. I think his name was Borgen or something. I don't remember. There's so many characters. But yeah, so then and Camlin is up in like a tower, kind of watching all this unfold. And then Royson's, outnumbered because it's just her against this dude. And then Hallion shows up with somebody else. I think it might have just been Hallion. He shows up, and then he shows up with Pendrathran, I think. Then Royson challenges Adana to a duel. Basically, Adana then wins. Camlin's watching the whole thing. He has an arrow knocked just in case. But yeah, Adana wins, then she banishes Royson, Lorcan, Royson's son, basically agrees with her to banish his mom, because he's like, I love you, Mom, but I also love Adana. Don't make me choose between you two. You should have never done this in the first place. So yeah, and then Kamala notices Vaughn is missing. We'll talk about Vaughn next. Technically, we're going to talk about Evnus, but Evnus has a lot to do with Vaughn because Evnus is Vaughn's dad. So Evnus, throughout this, is mainly focused on finding his son and convincing Vaughn to change sides and be on his side, basically. So then Vaughn actually goes. He lets Rafe escape so that Rafe can deliver a message to his dad. And basically, Rafe tells his dad that Vaughn wants to meet him. During that fight, Vaughn has Kraft lead Evnus to some tree. And then they have a talk about basically both of them are like, join my side. And then that gets them nowhere. And so Vaughn turns to leave. He starts walking away. And then Evnus pulls out a knife, ready to kill his dad. Not his dad, his son. Because his reasoning is like, okay, you're my son. I'm not going to have you fighting against me, basically. So instead, I'm going to just kill you now, so I don't have to fight you later. And Camlin was watching and then shoots. I think it was Camlin, because it says he gets shot with an arrow in the chest, and basically he dies before Evnus can kill Vaughn. And Vaughn turns around and basically sees the knife in his hand too. So, Evnus is dead. I guess one of the bad guys did die. Evnus is dead. Look at that. Alright. Next, we're going to talk about Euthus. He played a very minor role in this book. Like, he genuinely did. Because the only thing he did, at least of any importance, is he went to the other world with Calidus, formed a contract with Azeroth to basically, after the war, he would be the ruler of all the giants. Because he knew the locations of the Torque and the Cup, I think. Generally, he knew where they were. Then he goes, doesn't find the Torque there, doesn't find the Starstone Cup, so he's fucked. Because actually, I think Vaughn took the Starstone Torque whenever he took the book, and then Rafe has the Starstone Cup, which we saw him open that box and then drink out of, and then maybe die of ecstasy, probably, because the way that was described, I don't see how he's living. Like, his whole body was like literally tweaking out, so that was weird. And then Euphilus, new character. Literally, I think the only reason he was included is to give us a perspective of what Jael was doing. Later he's kind of separates. He's the one that kills Graham, basically. And I don't really care about this character because, again, he was introduced in this book, and I feel like his main purpose was to let us, as the readers, see what Jael was up to. I keep pronouncing his name differently. It's fine. And then also he's killed in this book as well. Wolf kills him during Jael's raid on Drazzle, so he's dead. Okay. Now, Rafe. The only thing that really happens with Rafe is he's still bent on revenge against Corbin, because Corbin Storm killed his dad. But to be fair, they betrayed everybody, so there's that. And Rafe kind of became Brave's apprentice, and he helps Brave track down Hallion after Connell sets him free. And then he also found the Starstone goblet, Then he drank from said goblet, and the immense pleasure. I don't know what the hell happened to him. It was genuinely weird. But yeah. So yeah, he was, experiencing all that, tweaking out on the in the grass, and apparently we do know that the goblet gives long life, basically, not immortality, but you live exponentially longer, because Nemain drank from it, and she was there for this scourging, whatever you call it. And she was like there whenever they killed the king of the giants, basically, and split off. And so she was alive for like thousands of years. But you can still die from drinking, even if you drink it. It just grants you a longer life expectancy. That doesn't mean you can't be stabbed in the neck and die, or anything like that, or die to like a disease. It just basically, you're gonna live a lot longer. It's gonna take a lot longer for you to die of old age, basically. So that's what Rafe drank from. I don't expect him to live to see those benefits, unless he runs away, which he might do. I'm not sure. I honestly have no idea how Corbin is going to win this war. I mean, he needs to. He's the good guy. He's our main character. But, jeez, he's not in a good position right now. And it has taken him 3 books, and he's still not in a good position. What the hell's going to happen in this next book? Alright, next up is Lycos. And Lycos, basically, he just gets healed. Desperately wants to get Macwin and Fidel back. He wants to get Fidel back under his thumb, and he wants to, teach Macwin a lesson about not betraying him, because, Macwin is his property. And then he fails pretty much every time. He gets Macwin back briefly, so Veritas, his brother, not Krellis, but the other one, I don't remember what his name is, pushed his dad onto Veritas' own sword. So Veritas thought he killed his dad. He had no idea how it happened, but that's what happened. And then later, Krellis figures it out whenever they're like escaping, and he kills the other brother. He was like the nerdy brother that was studying like the history, and apparently he was in league with Calidus the entire time. So yeah, then Krellis kills him. Veritas is like, what the hell happened? And it's like, why the hell did you kill our brother? And he's like, he's the one who pushed our dad into your sword. And then Veritas is just like, oh, makes sense. So yeah, that's what happened with that. That was a bit of a tangent. So Lycos basically fails every time. He does get Macwin for a little bit, but then once Veritas kind of recovers from that, he then loses custody of Alcyon's wife and son, and then also, again, I know one of them is like Tane or something, or like Rain. I don't know. I don't know what their names are either. That's why I just call them Alcyon's wife and son. I could look it up. I don't really want to. We know that they're. I already knew. I kind of guessed that they were going to be Alcyon's wife and son for like as soon as they were first introduced. So was not a big shock to me. But yeah, so then they're in Veritas' care, and then until Nether's judgment, where he learns the truth, and then Veritas goes on to set everybody free. That's basically all that happens with Lycos. That is the only thing. Also, he's no longer the regent of Tenenbrawl. Is that what it was? He's no longer the regent king. Anyways, somebody else got that job. I don't remember what his name is. Alright, last character we will be talking about in this video is Halion. And Halion is a little child, so he basically does little children things. Well, his mom died, his dad's dead. He desperately tries not to think about said death of his mom. He definitely wants revenge on Jael, because Jael killed his mom. And then He goes to Graham's hold with Tahir. Tahir swears to be a shield man. Then he's like, oh, when I'm king, I'll just make you do all this stuff for me. Because he has to do, chores. Earn his keep and whatnot. Earn his keep. Graham's a loyal guy, so he doesn't necessarily have to earn his keep, but it's nice that he's doing things. And then, he's the rightful heir to the Isiltir throne and whatnot. And then they meet Corbin after the assault on Graham's hold, where Graham died and all that stuff. He and Tahir live. That's good. Wolf also lives. And quite a few of the soldiers from Graham's hold also live. So he kind of has, them. Well, most of them are Wolf's men. Tahir is his only, actual shield man. And Tahir is the quote-unquote last of the Gadrai, because he doesn't know that Gwynne is still alive. Orgel is dead, which is unfortunate, but, and then there is, so then he meets Corbin, and it's basically like, wow, this guy's great. And it's like, he should be king of all the Banished Lands. And then, when they're in Drassel, he helps find Storm's Den and shows Corbin where it is and stuff like that. I don't think it says he escaped, but I'm assuming he did. Or he's hidden in Storm's Den. I don't know. Maybe he will help set Cywin free or something. Alright. Now, last but not least, the overall score. It's the mean of the total average. I said so. 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9. Then you divide that by 5, and then you divide that by 2, and you get a 4.4 out of 5. That's the final score. It's 4.4 out of 5 rating. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the next book goes, because it's genuinely it's a mystery to me. I don't know how Corbin's going to win this one, but that's the end of this video. So there you have it. Adios.